Very excited to be joined now with the Northern Manitoba Blizzard head coach, Mr. Eric Labrosse. Eric, first off, it's been a really solid year for the Blizzards so far. What have you thought about the way your team has, come out of the gate and got stronger as the year's gone on?
So far, I think we're in a good stretch right now. I think at the start of the year we were collecting wins, but it was a bit more of a shaky structure. I knew we were collecting wins here and there at the start of the year, but it wasn't to my liking as per se all over the ice, right? Whether it was the D zone, neutral zone, or offensive zone, and we've kind of worked on a lot of things here in the last few weeks, and now I feel that when we do win hockey games, it's done more the right way. They're more complete games. So yes, I'm happy with our team record, but what I'm the happiest with lately is actually the way we're playing the game itself and how we were able to close it off when we do have a lead. Or if we're in tight games, we do show a lot of character. There were a bit more games at the start of the year where we'd collapse if we were down by a goal or two, and then we wouldn't be able to come back in those games. So that's so far. I think it's a sign of our group also maturing. I do have a lot more young players this year than last season, so it all has to do with the learning curve that they're going through right now.
You mentioned you have some younger players, but you do have some key returning guys that learned some very valuable lessons from last year's playoff run. How much does that familiarity with the program kind of help make it easier as a head coach?
Well, it does for sure, right? Because your returning players, they know the system that you want, they know the structure that you want also daily at the rink, whether it's off ice in the gym, when you go on the road. We're on the road often, right? We often go to hotels and stuff. So they know all the ins and outs of what is expected of them, and they can pass it along to the younger players. So that's great. And not everything's new this year to all the players, which it was last year. So that's a huge effect, obviously, to be able to continue what we built last year into our second season, and to have these returning players that some of them have even been here before I did arrive with the Blizzard, right? Some players are in their third year here. There's a few of them, which really helps the younger players that come into the roster too. So I think it's a big help to have quite a few returning guys this season.
One of the new faces that has made an impact, though, is in your crease, Alex Reedy. He's played very well, and I know that he actually comes from the same hometown and played for the same team as Thomas Anderson. You got a bit of a goalie factory going on there, Eric. What's it like to develop that kind of reputation of a strong program between the pipes?
Well, last year, if we go back to Thomas Anderson, we were fortunate to land Thomas, right? He wasn't even in the picture of training camp. We kind of stumbled upon him, which I'm glad we did. And he had a good season for us, as everyone would know. And at the end of the season, it was kind of known that he had already got a D1 commit, and he was looking to probably play more back home, whether it was in the USHL or the NOL. But it was mentioned to me that his teammate from the past few years in high school was just as good as him. So he passed it along to me, which I'm very happy he did. And so far, so good with Alex. They have the same profile, same size. They've been coached the same way. So when I did tell our goalie coach Joe Mar, I said, "Hey, could you please look at this goalie and let me know what you think?" I didn't mention to him that it was Thomas's teammate from Stillwater High School. 5 minutes in, he texts me back. He says, "It feels like I'm watching Thomas play right now." I said, "Oh, okay, great. Well, that's a good sign, right?" So, yeah. So I guess we're very fortunate we landed on Thomas last year because that's how we were able to bring Alex in this season also.
Coach, I know last year you got to be a part of the MJSJ showcase. This year you got to head to Saskatchewan to be a part of that special event with some of the young guns of our league. Just how much does it mean to you to be a part of those programs, representing the Manitoba Junior Hockey League?
It means a lot. I mean, last season was my first year in the league. No one knew who I was. I didn't know anyone. So just to get the nod to be able to attend these showcases and to be asked to coach, for me, it's a huge privilege. I like to represent our league and to make sure that we do fare well at these events also, right? So it's a good point to sell the league also when you do go to these events that our hockey here is just as good as anywhere else, and we do have a lot of young talent in the league. And so I'd say for myself personally, last year I was privileged to go there, and this year I thought it was even more so of a privilege to be able to go 2 years back to back and be in that position.
You've been selected as one of the coaches that is going to be representing, for Team Canada West. What was that process like, and what's it like being a part of such a wonderful staff?
The process was ongoing for the past few weeks before they announced it. So I'd say maybe a month before. Some interviews had been made with Hockey Canada. So, I went through that process with them. And it did take a while before I got to know I was chosen to represent the MJ at the event. But it was a process that was fun, first and foremost, because I've never been in the Hockey Canada program yet as a coach. So just to be able to have those interviews for me was some good experience, and it finally panned out that I was a chosen one. So that was I just like for the MJSJ showcase, I feel privileged, and the fact that I can represent part of Hockey Canada to be with Team Canada West, I'm very honored, and I really feel privileged. So, and then when we did go to Warman, we all got together, the coaching staff, to evaluate the 20 players from the MJ and from the SJ. So that's how I got to meet also the other coaches that I'll be coaching with at the event, and they're all great guys. We had a lot of fun for the few days that we were out there together in Saskatchewan. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Eric, you have a short amount of time to build a team for a short kind of event. How do you go about finding the right mix of guys, and how do you go about helping build out a roster to hopefully bring home a gold?
A lot of talks. It's not done in one evening or in one week. We analyze a lot of players over all the Western Junior A leagues. We uh, we debate, amongst ourselves, the coaching staff, who would we see in which position, who would fit better with who. We do need guys that will be able to play on the power play. And that's the thing. When you bring so many good players, everyone's pretty much a top player on their team, right? But when you bring them to that event, you can't just have 12 forwards that are all power play guys. You need guys that can actually kill penalties, that can play defensively, that can shut down the opposing team at the end of the periods or at the end of games. So that's how we're building the team. We're trying to find the best mix possible with the players that we've analyzed and see who would fit best with who. And that showcase in Mormon was actually a great way to do it because you get to see some players playing and practicing because we also held two practices there. So you do see their habits, you do see their characters. When you coach them behind the bench, your players on your club team, but you don't know how the other players react to certain situations. So that was a great way for myself and all the other coaches to see the characters of all the other players there. So that's how we kind of build it. It's a long process, but it's a fun one.
How do you go about balancing, that extra stuff while still trying to get the best out of your team, the Northern Manitoba Blizzard? You're in a dogfight for points every weekend. How's that balance been for you?
It's been a lot of long hours. I'm not gonna lie. The last 4 or 5 weeks has been a lot of work for me. It's when I was trying to put the MJ team for the showcase in Warman as well as Team Canada West with the rest of the staff, it was almost triple duty at one point, right? So early mornings to very late nights. That's how it's been done for the past few weeks for myself.
Eric, you mentioned you spend a little bit of time away. So when you guys are gone, you're gone. But when you're home, you're home. What's it been like to build that relationship with the staff and the volunteers at your home games? And what's it like to, see that continuing and growing going forward?
Well, I mean, we have new ownership this year, and there are people from town, right? So that there are people that have been in business here for a long time, which is great because it brought in new sponsors, it brought in new possibilities to our team since the stage in summer where it was made public that they would be buying the team. So I think that brought a lot of new fresh faces around the team, and it's really good. I mean, um, I think since I've been here, I can't speak for all the years before, but since I've been here, that's the healthiest I've seen the club be. You know, whether it be staff wise, or volunteer wise, billeting wise, a lot more people have jumped on board here in the last few months, which is awesome. So that's all you could ask because when you're running a junior A program, you have to rely and hope that the community is going to be behind you to support you. That's that's a big part of your club right there, and I feel that in that aspect, it's gotten much better in the last few months since ownership has changed.
Eric, we'll wrap up with you talked about your club, learning to win as they go. As one of the top teams in the league, you get the best of your opponent each and every night. How do you want to see this club kind of come together over the next few weeks and get the ball rolling to maybe do something special and capture that kind of magic from last year?
We're the same type of team as last year, right? We're not the team that's going to outskill other teams. We're really a hardworking team that plays. We're really based on our defensive mindset here. That's what we're about. Minimizing as many opportunities as we can from the opposition. So that's what we build on right now on how we can hone our craft at being the best defensive team here in this league. And from being that good in your end, hopefully it leads to yourself playing on offense a little more, right? So I always say if you take care of your end, you'll be playing at the other end of the ice where it's the fun part way more often. And that's the way we look at it here. So as we said before previously at the start of the chat, we do have a few more young players here this season, especially up forward than I had last year. So for me, the first half of the season was giving these players experience, giving them knowledge about how to play defensively without the puck, how to make the right decisions. And then, as we move forward into the season, it's if it means maybe adding on a few key pieces, in trades, just to make sure that we're making our team that much better to try to make a deep run in the playoffs. That's what we'll have to do. I look around the league. There's a lot of good teams, and it's going to be the same as last year. Making it far in playoffs won't be an easy task. So to even think about that first, you got to make playoffs. But I think that's how we're going about it. We're a defensive minded team that's all about hard work and making sure we take care of our own end first.
Eric, it's not an easy balance, but it's got to be a lot of fun thinking hockey nonstop. Thank you very much for doing this today. Best of luck to you personally and the Blizzard going forward.
Thank you for having me.